And on today's show, how to create client engagement. Part 2 of this week's series on acquiring high-value clients through referrals and introductions with the president of Referral Coach Academy, Bill Cates. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Innsmark, Life Specs, and Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to day 2, Bill.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Well, Bill, that was I loved your introduction yesterday. If you didn't catch our show, you need to go back out there. Bill, you have 3 books out on Amazon right now. I saw out there. I trolled out there. Referrals Now, Don't Keep Me a Secret, which I personally, I love that title. And then Beyond Referrals. Now, today we're going to kind of get into some of this, because we're really getting into the weeds a bit. We want to create, everybody wants to create client engagement. And if I sent out a survey and said, how do you do that? I think we'd have blank response.
Right.
I think people are crippled. Right. Really crippled by this. There's a paralysis in our business. I don't know how to do that.
So Steve, let's talk about an engaged client and what that means. If we go to this graphic here, who gives referrals? Well, Julie Littlechild of Advisor Impact did a fascinating study. We see we have satisfied clients are highly loyal, right? And that's good. That makes a lot of sense. But a very low correlation in giving referrals. Just because someone's satisfied doesn't mean they're going to give referrals. Only 20% gave referrals in the past 12 months. Enter the engaged client. 100% loyalty, 98% of those clients gave referrals in the preceding 12 months.
And what's the differentiation between the satisfied client and the engaged client then?
Well, it's the level of relationship. And so let me go, I've got a little hierarchy if I can show this to you. First we got to start with a process that brings great value. Right? We can become engaged actually very quickly in the relationship. We don't have to wait a long time to create client engagement. And this is about bringing value. And a lot of other things we're going to talk about. So that's the first level. The next level would be responsive service. Now we have to deliver responsive service, but that does not create client engagement. That's the table stakes for being in the game. People expect that. We have to deliver that. It doesn't really enhance the relationship much.
That surprises me, I'm sorry to say. I think I'm in the same place as our advisors watching this show right now. I think I out-serviced everybody. Why did I not get the referral?
Well, there's different types of service. There's responsive service, but they expect that from you. The next level would be continued value. We have to stay in touch with our clients in ways that continues to bring value. We have to have a client service promise, a client service model that dictates how often and for what reason we'll be in touch with our clients. Part of that is to bring more value, and the next level is to build business friendships. All things being equal, people do business with their business friends. All things not being equal, people still do business with their business friends. And this is the turbocharger to referrals, is that business friendship where they start to like us, care about us, want to help us, take a stake in our business. And then the highest level would be pulling back the curtain and giving our clients an opportunity to actually take a stake in our business. The mistake that a lot of folks make when they ask for referrals too quickly in the relationship is they haven't created the business friendship. They haven't created the value. They say, let me tell you how I get paid. I get paid through referrals. They haven't earned the right to pull back the curtain and engage in that type of a relationship.
Okay, so we're going through the succession of priority here.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
So if I think a lot of our advisors are practiced in responsive service, but that is just a commodity. That's not a thing extraordinary.
You can't use that to distinguish yourself in the marketplace anymore.
Well, you say continued value, and I bet you our advisors are asking the same thing in my head: is how do I create it? How do I create the value? How do I then continue it?
Right. Well, one of the ways you provide value is through the questions you ask. And this happens at the beginning of a relationship. I call them high-value questions. High-value questions are questions that get our prospects and or clients thinking in ways they haven't thought before. To ask a prospect or a client a question they don't know the answer to, as long as it's not a gotcha kind of attitude, then you're serving them, you're helping them, you're expanding their thinking. And we've got to make sure whatever product we're behind at the moment, whatever's relevant to this client, we can't do it in a vacuum. We have to get a sense of who they are and their relationship to finances, etc. So we ask high-value questions, and through that we provide value. And there's lots of other ways to provide value as well.
And do you have some of this in a kind of a listing gauntlet, and through some of your workshops you have these questions?
Oh, absolutely. This is we spend a lot of time on high-value questions early in the relationship, and then high-value questions throughout the relationship that allows you to keep bringing value. You teach, you educate, you learn, all through the questions you ask.
We come back from the break. We're going to continue with Bill's complete take on this, acquiring high-value clients by using high-value questions. We'll be right back after the commercial. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to our second segment. Of course, we're with referral coach and really guru of all that's referral, Bill Cates. Bill, give me an example of one of your high-value questions that you alluded to in the last segment.
I'll give you a series of a few.
Oh, great.
So, because we never want to sell anything in a vacuum, we always want to have context. One of the most high-value questions you can ask at the beginning of an appointment, your first appointment with a brand new prospect, Steve, what's most important to you in your life? And of course, you're going to say family or business or kids or wife or whatever, right? You're going to give me a few. And then, we're here to talk about your financial situation. So what's most important to you about money? And then we'll get a little deeper there. And then I'll say, so who are affected by the financial decisions you make? So now I'm learning about the people in your life affected by your financial decisions. This does two things. It helps me serve you better, and it also gives me a sense of who else is in your world, because you know what? I may be able to help those people as well. And then a great question to ask is, who are some folks in your world who have made some great financial decisions that you really respect? And so you're going to tell me about other people in your life who've made good decisions. You respect them. What's happening here? First of all, I'm learning about your relationship to financial decisions, which is important for me to serve you well. And I'm learning about even more people in your life that I might be able to serve later. So these are kind of a double high value question. It helps you think in ways you haven't thought before, and it helps me learn about you at the same time.
I think sometimes as advisors, we go right to the data collector. We're not even doing anything that you're doing. This is kind of pastoral. You're kind of doing corporate courtship in a way.
Well, we're getting to know people, and think about it. People are revealing private information to us, information they don't tell other people, right? We become their confidants. And so it's important that we do this in a context of caring and caring about the bigger picture.
Well, walk us through a little bit of the engagement. I like that this is a communication art. You have a real high skill set on this. Kind of walk me through this.
Yeah, so we're talking about really becoming referable quickly in the relationship and creating engagement quickly. So one way we create engagement quickly is to talk about the future engagement. What I mean by that is communicate your client service model to your prospects. Steve, as we move forward and as we work together, let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to stay in touch. First of all, we're going to meet on a regular basis, and depending on your business model, it could be, we'll meet once a year for an annual review. We'll meet twice a year, whatever the relationship is. We have this newsletter we'll be sending out to you. I will love to break bread with you at some point. It's always good to go out and have a meal with our clients. We have this wine tasting thing we do a couple times a year. We have a golf outing next summer. So what I'm doing is I'm explaining how we're going to stay in touch over the course of time. In advance.
Right.
So first of all, it shows that I really do care about the future of the relationship, and it gives you that feeling, that sense of engagement, even though we haven't done it yet. So you're starting to feel engaged with me. You've already revealed some financial proprietary information with me. Now you're feeling engaged with how we're going to stay in touch. So I can become referable actually very quickly in the relationship just through a few simple techniques like this.
I'm assuming that you see that clients actually want this kind of contact.
Oh, they really do. If you look at all the studies, every client or almost every client, performance, portfolio performance, all of that is usually second or third or fourth on the list. They want an advisor who really understands them, knows them, customizes their advice to them, cares about them. That's why a lot of advisors will lose the assets, will lose the business when one of the spouse dies, because it was a purely transactional kind of relationship, and there was never a sense of caring that the spouse felt. And they go, oh, he was my husband's advisor. He wasn't my advisor. So this business friendship, this staying in touch, very, very important in general, and especially if you want to get referrals.
So this is a huge, it's actually a good protocol to have in your practice anyways, but now it has a secondary value to it because it actually creates your referral.
We want to have a client service model. We want to talk about we want to use the client service model, and we want to talk about the client service model with prospects and with clients because that's what creates engagement.
Well, when I'm thinking about, I want to start out and how I do, and it says increase engagement over time. Am I ramping up geometrically, or will I start to see some kind of exponential growth? What kind of expectations? If I'm walking, and I just always advise everybody on our show, when we have a person in here that just, this is what he does, this is an expert, I don't want to break formula. Whatever you say we need to do, we need to kind of keep our nose to the grindstone on this.
Right. Yes. And I mentioned earlier that we have a client service model in place, and the two main ingredients of a client service model is how do we keep bringing value. So everybody's broker, dealer, IMO, you name it, they have compliance approved material that they're giving to them all the time. I also encourage financial professionals to write. A financial professional is an expert in a certain area. Experts write. So I'm a big believer in creating some of our own things that we can also drip on our clients, compliance approved, of course. And so we keep bringing value through the written word, through videos, through educational seminars, through the review meetings, through referrals to other professionals and referrals to anyone else in their life. The giving of referrals creates the sense of engagement and brings value. And then the business friendship. And boy, there's so much there. Client appreciation events, celebration events when clients are retiring or having a birthday milestone or an anniversary. Paying attention to our clients, just little things they say on the phone, and then finding a simple way to follow up on that later, creating that sense of what would a business friend do, staying in touch on that level and have a system in place that does that. And then we have a very high level of engagement, a very high level of referability, a very high level of repeat business and loyalty.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas you hear, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just go out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.